she's a little late.
Well, she's on a boat, right?
Yeah, I think.
So that kind of causes.
To tie this note, she couldn't make it this right.
Kate is not here yet.
No,
Kate's gonna be on Zoom.
in Kansas.
And
No, there's a little.
You got 1 minute.
all right, let's call this meeting to order. Thank you very much. Ella. Okay, I'm hopeful that we could get through the first 5 or 6 items just as a committee before we open it up to public comments, because I think there will be plenty of public comments tonight. And we need to decide some things here. So, adjustments to the agenda, yes?
I just wanted to, where you have either put it at recommendations for the future of the committee or town meeting results. Clarified, John's, the select board's,
Mission,
draft mission.
here's John. Okay. I think
So-
that's under the recommendations. for
Okay,
the-
so I just want to make sure that we have that. The mission, the draft mission.
Okay,
Now,
great.
would you make sure
And we
everybody
have
signs in?
a new member, maybe we should do that right now and welcome Michael Kolonowski, and maybe you could say a few words about your interests and how you're here.
We're over on Mill Pond. We had a little shack that was falling down that we got initially for vacation home, but then I've retired from teaching at a university, and we're here permanently. My wife can work anywhere, fortunately, so we're happy here. I have 2 daughters, one working in San Francisco and the other one's in college in Pittsburgh. And our 2 Goldens seem to love it here.
Good. Great, thanks very much. Where did you teach?
University of New Hampshire.
Oh, I went there. And what did you teach?
It would be called psychology in most colleges, but we had a fairly large group, so they broke off from psychology, which focused more on animal research, and it was called family studies.
Family studies, that's good, I like.
Research.
That's good. All right, approval of minutes from June 17th. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes, or would you like a minute to do that? No?
To make the motion to accept the minutes?
I think so. Okay.
Okay, any discussion, anything? So all those in favor,
Aye.
raise your hand.
I'm gonna abstain because
And one abstention.
here.
Very good. Okay, so this is I'm just gonna say a few words. This is essentially the last meeting of this particular group of people, of the facilities committee. Some of us will be moving on and other people will be coming in. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's done the work that they've done and to get us to the place that we got to. We all know what happened at town meeting in terms of the vote, and so the mission,
That's.
that might be Kate.
And somebody just checking in.
Bring one in, is that Kate?
Yes, it is.
Kate Clark?
Kate
Kate
Clark.
Clark is.
So the mission as I see it, which was given to us at the 2021 town meeting, to plan, design, fundraise, and build a new library community center is no longer the mission of this committee, but perhaps we will talk about the new mission shortly. So before we do that, I just wanted to go around this group and find out what your feelings were about staying with the facilities committee, knowing that there is a new mission. And some of us think that that mission should be clarified a little bit, but what your feelings are. Now, I know Jan, you might as well speak out loud.
Yeah, I've declined to serve. I'm gonna resign after, effective at the end of this meeting. I've let Anna know. She sent out an email earlier, I think, to all of us. And,
I didn't see it,
no. Didn't,
because normally one would have to have the select board accept your resignation, maybe she's.
well, it was via email. I really was gonna talk to Anna tonight and see if that's sufficient. Or, you know, there needs to be a letter, or whatever. I never had an appointment letter, so I wasn't sure. But whichever.
And Maura?
I haven't decided because I'm waiting for this meeting to hear what the rest of the committee has to say. And I sent an email to the select board asking some questions on the draft mission because I had a lot of questions because I don't want to have what we did before, where we're debating what something means. I just want it clear from the select board what the task is at hand. And so
So you want a clarified mission?
Yes,
before you
I
can
want
make a
clar-
decision?
before I make a decision, and then I'm just gonna, for people that come in, please sign in on the public list.
I gave.
Right, as I stand now, I would like to continue on this committee. I feel this project is very important for the future of the town. And I would like to participate in designing that.
Well, you've been so helpful in this, both of you, so helpful to this committee. And I appreciate that very much. Marcia,
I really am echoing the same thing that, Catherine just said. I think the town needs to move forward and, hear what people say and let's do what the town wants.
so you're willing to stay on?
Yes.
You're willing to stay on? Okay, very good. And here you are, you already know it.
I think I'm willing to stay. I don't know enough yet to have another opinion.
What made you want to be on the committee?
Well, as a retired professor, the thing I miss the least are all the faculty meetings. But listening to everybody at our town meeting, I was a bit surprised, but I was also interested to know how people could come to such, what caused such divergent opinions. And I don't know to what degree that's communication and to what degree that something else. But I felt that since I was here and I did have a little time, I would be glad to try and see how.
Pursue.
I think a retired psychology professor will be very helpful.
Very good. We could use a little psychology around here.
I'm a retired psychologist.
Great. And Kate, how about you? What are you thinking about the future on the facilities committee?
I am really unclear on the mission of the facilities committee at this point. So I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I know there's some emails that went around today, but I haven't had a chance to really read them. But I didn't get from John's email what the facilities committee was actually going to continue to do. So I'm a little on the fence, but I only have till 6 tonight. So I hope I'll get the information I need and can make a decision before July 9th, which I think is the date that John gave us.
Right.
So
Yeah. Fine. Okay, thank you. So that sort of brings us to the report from the board of directors, which, and maybe John can help with this too. So I think what we know from the board of directors is that the money, the CDS money and the money from Shelley Pingree's office is still available. And with the right work done, we can still move forward with that money. Right now, it's, I think I don't want to misspeak, so if I do, somebody correct me who was at the meeting. I think that the intention is that we can continue to use that money, because this group and the board of directors have done such a lot of work in terms of a new building, so that's what we had applied for. It can be used for some renovations, but essentially the turnaround time for reconfiguring a grant is somewhat short. So the information that we have is mostly about a new building. Gabe's understanding of different floor plan numbers, the total number of the building, so that we could take the meeting room that's on that plan. I mean, just terms of raw numbers in terms of square footage and bathrooms and a separate meeting room, and apply that to some numbers. We could come up with a revised budget fairly quickly for that building. We don't still have an architect's plan of what that would look like. It's a little more complicated, I think, with the renovations, because we really don't have numbers and we don't really have a plan. So I think that process is something that I think has to be gone through. So that would be the job of this committee, the facilities committee, to get that information together. The board will continue, the auxiliary will continue, and there is an idea that we should continue to support the project and perhaps do additional grant writing as it becomes available. And also because of this congressional money, which we don't want to lose if we don't have to. There were a flurry of emails this afternoon about whether that congressional money would stay, if it would go away, and and I don't know the answer to all those questions. I really don't know. I think we have some assurance that we have a window up until maybe July, August, September, in that area, of resubmitting a budget, because it doesn't really go to appropriations for a while, and we won't have that money until next year in like May, June, July period. This year it was June from last year. However, I also talked to a fundraiser, a very well-known fundraiser who happens to live in South Thomaston, but did a lot of work in Portland before she retired. And she said, oh, that money goes away. You're not applying for that anytime soon. So there's that, I've heard that before, but she said it pretty definitely to me. So I think it's concerning that we not give up that money if we can at all hold on to it. But there was a flurry of emails this afternoon sort of saying that, well, maybe we should just let it go and, everybody regroup. So I don't know the answer to those questions. It's not the job of the facilities to understand that, but the job of the facilities is to really do what John has outlined, which we're sort of going on now to the recommendations for the future of the facilities committee. So it's a long draft for the repurposed mission of the library. And I think our mission was, in the article in 2021 town meeting, just to have a committee to design, plan, build, fundraise for a new building. This is a long mission, and so I do think it needs to be clarified.
Did he send that to all of us? Because I haven't.
This
seen it.
came to everybody, yeah.
When?
Sunday evening.
I didn't receive
You
it.
didn't get it? I know, John asked me for your email, so I know he.
Marcia, aren't you mttpsy@roadrunner.com? It went there.
I didn't receive it.
And the first one would have gone at 7:47. Mine came out later, but that one.
Did you get it?
No,
And
H2.
yeah, it's H24EVR@roadrunner.com. You were the first person on that.
I don't know how they didn't go through. Did you get it?
I got it.
It went out to the entire facilities committee. So let me just read it a little bit to you. I won't read the annual meeting on June 18th, the select board has voted pursuant to that meeting, has voted to issue a repurposed mission for the Library and Community Center Facilities Committee. Planning and fundraising efforts shall now focus on: one, renovating the existing building and constructing an addition to the existing building to house a large multi-purpose meeting room with a kitchen and bathrooms and other amenities the committee may deem advisable. This is all for the facilities, and constructing a new wastewater disposal systems to serve the new addition and existing building, maximizing, number three, maximizing energy efficiency in both the existing building and the new addition, and four, reconfiguring parking, walkways, and landscaping as required to accommodate the above. So that's the planning part. If you think about our mission, this is the planning part.
There's one more on that. There's more, no,
I'm gonna go on, yeah. So number two, additional, I put it as, so for, if those of you that would like to have that clarified or refined, I see that as number one, clarifying the mission. Number two, additionally, the committee is requested to develop a prioritized list along with associated cost estimates developed by qualified professionals for repairs and maintenance that the existing building needs in the near to midterm. So that's a chunk. That's a big chunk of material there that has to be done. It's not gonna happen real quick. So I don't know, the rest of this, the repurposed mission is not intended to limit the scope of analytical work that the committee wishes to pursue, including considering the relocation of the town office to the site or designing the building in a manner that will facilitate such a relocation at some future date. And then talks about the CDS funds. The other issue about the CDS funds, if we raise $1 million from the CDS funds, we have to also then raise another additional 25%. Or in other words, if our budget was 1.25 million, we would have to raise, no, that's not right.
No, it's 1 million.
1 million, we have to raise
50.
Yeah, $250,000. So that is a fundraising issue that we have to deal with. So assuming that we have a chunk of money coming from Shelley Pingree and Angus King, on top of that is a fundraising, which will go to the auxiliary to really begin to work on it. So that's another reason why the auxiliary needs to be in business in terms of, we voted on that. So I think, I don't know, did I cover all the issues that we voted on?
Yeah, can I just make a couple points of clarification? One, the email came from me, but it was from the select board. I just happened to
Right,
be the one who transmitted it. So people keep saying, John, it was a select board. The second thing is, I don't know what people didn't get. I did get one bounce back at me, and that was more, and I emailed her, and I had a bad email address, and I sent it to her immediately. But the letter went to the facilities committee members, and I simply CC'd it. Actually, I didn't CC it, I sent in a separate one just for you, just as an FYI to the board of directors of the auxiliary. So I just want to be clear on the process but the major point is, it's not my mission. We circulated it must select board.
you get confused about the
And
auxiliary.
it is a draft, and I would say if anybody has any comments on it, they should get to address the select board. I mean, nothing's gonna change tonight, because we're not meeting again until 15, something like that. I might have that day wrong.
Attached.
So
Yeah, this came first.
it's just a process of clarification.
Thank you, John.
So,
John, can you resend those so that the two of us that didn't receive them?
I can probably easier just go make copies.
Okay,
If you didn't get it the first time, you're not gonna get it the second time.
okay.
Unless it went to your spam or something.
I don't know how you
Let me-
addressed it.
I'll look, John, because it certainly should have come to me. I get everything in that email address.
I don't have a copy, but I send emails to you quite often.
I just read it here, so I'm okay with it.
Is that a copy, so I could have it, or do you want me to get a copy? Is that a, you have a copy?
Yeah.
You can make a
I
copy.
can get a copy made, so I just don't have it.
Yeah, we can make a copy for you.
Okay,
I mean, you can take this one right now.
would you like one too?
I'll make a couple.
So what does the facilities committee want to see differently in that draft? What are you looking for?
To me, the first point is very clear. It's essentially rethinking the exercise we have gone through the past year or so. The second part, given that we are under the gun time-wise to resubmit something to the congressional delegation, I would assume that the priority after that would be to try to get estimates for the whole work and not worry so much about what needs to be done in the short term. So, you know, right now the building is up and functioning. So, you know, what you read as number 2 doesn't seem so critical to me. What's more important is, you know, really looking at the overall project and come up with numbers for the whole project of what it would cost to get our final, you know, ideal of community and library center and possibly town offices. So, you know, that's how I see it.
I mean,
Sorry, this isn't a
Yeah,
clean
go ahead.
copy.
Yeah.
Oh, does anyone have a clean copy? This one's all marked up.
oh,
No, mine's marked up.
Okay.
all right, it's not clean. You wanna look at it?
Email it to the
Sure,
office.
I'll wait and see.
Oh, I saw. Jan, did you want to say something?
No, I was just trying to get your attention, John, I was trying to get your attention.
Well, it's a big job. I see that as a big job, and it's not something that's gonna be done in 2 months, is how I see it.
We don't know until we try.
And I think we need to have people who, you know, who really believe in both the new building and renovating the old building to work together to figure out a budget, overall budget for the whole thing. That's, I think we
It's
really,
not gonna happen if we meet only once a month, that's for sure. So we're gonna have probably to up the effort.
I agree. And I think we need to talk to the people that are using the facility now and find out what they want. And how they're using it and what they need, they don't.
yeah, well, I think that's what this facilities committee will now have to be either the 2 of us are gone, so we need to be replaced, but it also might need to be enlarged with people who have more information from Guilford Butler, as well as information about, you know, how to look at renovations. That's not something that, you know, we've done in the facilities committee.
Yeah.
Maura,
My questions to the select board, and I already sent it in, so I'll paraphrase, but I'll try to remember, but I wanted, one, define renovating. Does it mean totally changing the building to what the people want, or is it just to fix what are issues? And the reason I ask that question is that it would be easier for the facilities committee to know what the definition is and what's going forward. Yes, I see that everything should be together because you can't do a wastewater disposal system without knowing what the size of a new addition is, to know what you're doing in the Guilford Butler and how many bathrooms, how many people and everything else. So everything kind of falls in place, what you need. I also made the comment that if you can't make the existing building energy efficient, or you can, but it'll cost a fortune, what then? I'm just trying to make sure that there's a clearer message here. I also suggested that there would be a building committee, an ad hoc, where you could have, I suggest 2 people's names, John Caldwell and Gabe, to be on that. So you'd have some experts that solely worked on doing that type of work why the facilities committee is doing other stuff. So that there's more people working on it and so you can get the work done. But that wasn't in there because you want to be able to have some committees to do some different things. And the two other things that I mentioned was, and it's kind of goes very beginning. You know, we were told yesterday that Jeff Northgraves is going to talk to the fire marshal. Well, we need to know what the fire marshal says before you continue about going from temporary to permanent. That needs to be addressed right away. And another point that I put in the meeting, in the minutes, my notes to them, and it's been said by others is, and it goes to what Marcia said, but what is Penny and the folks that did the citizen petition, are they on track for this, or do they want something else? Because I just don't want another set of work to be done, and then another petition comes, this comes, and we keep changing course. I just would like for people to get on the same page, and so we know what we're going to do. And lastly, just to make sure that there's communication with what's being done at the site versus the planning, because like if you look at Guilford Butler now, there's been trees planted, parking redone, solar arrays in the back. And will that interfere with anything that goes forth? I don't know, but we need to have that communication. And my last item was on near to midterm. What does that mean? That's where I want clarification, because I just feel that we as a committee don't need to have to debate that. Just give us the marching orders so we can go do the work. It's kind of where I'm looking at it.
Is that in this,
That's in my email to the select.
yeah, I remember, but, okay.
And I sent it,
But near to
sent it.
midterm is in the draft.
Yes,
repurposing?
I put in quotes near to midterm. What does that mean? What is the time frame? You know, because there is that sense of urgency about the grant money. So I just feel that it's not enough information for me.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is that I think that the select board or the auxiliary needs to think about a budget, needs to think about, you know, how much are we willing to expend? I think everybody knows that if you throw enough money at anything, you can do it, but, you know, is there, again, there was an objective before that we were trying to not spend any taxpayer dollars. We were trying to do this all with grants and charity. You know, is that still the goal and objective? Or if not, is there a thought about how much taxpayer dollars we want to spend? You know, that kind of thought. I think in fairness, and again, I should probably even speak up, but the committee ought to have some balance of, you know, is it going to be 75% charity? Is it going to be, something? Because I think a lot of the people that were concerned about the meeting were concerned, as we are talking about the grant money, about cost. You know, what's it going to cost the taxpayer? How much is our taxes going to go up? That kind of thing. And we ought to bound it, I believe.
Sandy, may I weigh in?
Sure. Hey,
So all of these things, I agree with all of the pieces that just got laid out in terms of what we need to know. And where I come to is I'm not sure that I don't see right now a need for the facilities committee, in that the select board needs to make decisions about spending money to find out how much renovation and what we could possibly do to envision a plan and that kind of thing, and provide the guidance that Jan was just discussing, like what is our end result. And the auxiliary has raised the funds, or almost raised the funds, in terms of grant money for something that John was saying the other day would be possibly used for an addition in the sewer and the those types of things, parking. So I'm not sure what it is that the facilities committee would do right now in between those to entities that already have clear work to do. That's where I'm struggling. Like what I feel like we did over the last year, certainly we did it. It was what the voters had directed us to do when this committee was created. But it was a lot of work that didn't go anywhere. I guess if we don't have an idea of what the facility is and what the facility is going to cost and what the town wants to expend and where that money is going to come from, I still don't see that mission for the facilities committee.
So you're saying,
I don't want to spin our wheels again.
no, right, exactly. So you're saying the mission of a renovated building and an additional community center space is not enough for a facilities committee to find out what that renovation costs, find out how much we need to raise for the extra building along with the CDS money.
Is that what we're going to do? Because my understanding the other night from the select board meeting was the select board needs to decide how we find out what the renovations are, where that money comes from to pay for that. That was what I walked away with, and I might have been wrong. And then the auxiliary has possibly raised some funds for something. Then John laid out as, the addition and possibly parking. So what is there for a facilities committee to do right now? I mean, if we had solid numbers on what renovation would cost and some parameters on, as Jan was mentioning, on what does the town want to spend on this or not spend, or then I could see us. I'm just thinking maybe a facilities committee right now is premature. It is my question.
All right, I feel we keep biting our tails here, so we need to decide on where to start. And we have established a program that defined, list of rooms, approximate square footage. So now there is new data, which is the Guilford Butler top floor, which is, an addition of a lot of square footage. And now we also have the possibility of considering fitting the municipal offices in that building. So those two things, definitely one issue of the Guilford Butler area is available. The second one, we need to ascertain that it's indeed happening or not, moving the municipal offices to that building. In which case, that gives us an exercise, which is to rethink the layout, what goes where. We already have a lot of activities in place, the children's room, the book stack, and so forth. So how do we make all the things that we need fit in the space we design, the new community center, and the building? So right there, it's an exercise for the facilities committee. And then once you have that layout in place and we discuss what kind of systems we want for heating, ventilation, and so forth, now we have parameters to assess how much it's going to cost to do all these things. And at this point, we turn to contractors and say, here's what we would like to do. How much will it cost? And these are, numbers that you get from professionals, and they become the basis. They can come up as, oh my God, it's way too much money. Then we need to go back to the design table and say, okay, how can we make things simpler? How can we cut it down? And the faster we do this, the faster we can go back to the proposals for the grants and say, we have a revised proposal, and this is what we're seeking. But, before we do that, we need to have kind of an agreement with the town. This is how much money we're going to have to raise. And, if we tell the town, we really need to raise from all of us $2 million, then we say that's not possible. But if we come up with, $500 to $1 million, that's definitely achievable. So, it's not a one-time does it all. It's like we need to start somewhere. And then it's an iterative process, hopefully not, you know, if we can come up with a layout that everybody is happy with, where everybody can find what they were looking for to start with. You know, we have something firm and we move from there to the next step. I mean, to me,
So I don't think it's a summer job. I think it's a 6-month.
well, again, you know, you know, that's why I'm saying we have a time constraint.
Yeah.
And, am I,
So
you
who
know,
would you want on the facilities committee to be?
well,
to
people
help?
who are, you know, obviously Gabe, obviously people who know about constructions and, you know, we need Penny and, you know. Marcia said we need to talk to people. I thought we have done that already. I mean, can you then, you know, all the people who attend Guilford Butler, can they develop a page of what they want so that
I'm
we don't have
sure.
to spend hours
I'm
talking
sure,
to
I'm
a
sure,
ton of
and
people?
we didn't do that before.
I mean, what I heard is, you know, they have everything they need there, so,
No, I don't think. that's-
okay, well, then that's the
I think
information we need.
We need people who
What's
use
there,
and
we're
have
using
working in the building
Right.
and be part of the committee. And what do you need from the select board before we actually start that process?
I need to understand how we go about, deciding yea, nay, moving the municipal offices. You know, again, so that we don't have to redo something.
Or if that is a goal from them,
Pardon me?
if that is one of their goals, I mean, we're
Well,
assuming it is.
Apparently, we heard from people in the municipal offices that they would like to move there.
Right.
So if that's all we need, then fine, we can review the layout and so forth, including that.
John?
Designing the building to move the municipal offices there was always a goal in the first place.
I can't hear, sorry.
Designing a building so that the municipal offices could move there at some point was always on the table in the first plan, so that's not new.
Well, it has been, you know, considered at some point, we can do that and then possibly add. Now we are doing it all at once.
Right,
Well, not necessarily. It said, I believe, in a letter from the selectmen said, Mr. Revis said either to do it at the time when you build or at some point in the future. I think that's what I got, yeah.
But if we are going to redesign, to me, you know,
we need
I think the point is
specifics.
we don't want, I've seen in the work that I've done, so many times we design buildings that they restrict themselves from easy expansion, and I think that's kind of the key. But I don't wanna get, I think
yeah, but to
I
me,
think we get
okay.
too involved with the town offices,
Well,
personally, it's kind of
If
getting.
it's feasible to put the town offices, you know, with what we have in mind, you know, I think we should go ahead and do it. Because again, adding later on, you just take more ground space, you know, and the ground space is something precious, you know, either for playing outside or meeting or, you know, whatever. So
Get us out.
I would love for us to be able to consider everything at once, you know, including Guilford Butler and an addition for the community room, the large meeting room.
I think we need from the selectmen what they want. You know, you're saying, well, we should consider the town offices, well, how much space do they need? What do they need?
Well, it's always been a
And that's their
long-term,
job. To what? They don't have to be on the committee, but they need to let us know what they need.
I think it's always been a potential that the
But
town,
we've never known what they wanted or needed, because they wanted offices there.
Our objective in the past was just to build a design that was expandable,
Right.
so that if at some future point.
They wanted to move, yeah,
But you're right, we never really said how expandable.
right. How much space do you need, yeah.
all right, let's open it up. then.
Is it open to the?
Yeah,
public?
let's open it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with this lady. I think it's baffling. You've got a solid.
You have to talk loud for me.
I think Apple's got a really solid ground of what needs to be done. As far as planning the town offices, that was actually my personal original design, but that's not what the community wanted. So I would say that, yes, we want to consider with because you don't want to change what you're saying to the grant people. You want to keep that as close to what you've got going on now, from what I hear from Mr. Bunker, from Kevin, is that you want to keep it fairly close. But it doesn't mean you can't consider it in engineering or design phase. planning those offices in and having the addition, which would be for the meeting room, and I think this, the virgin chair, would be for the meeting room. But incorporate those, they don't necessarily have to be built, it could be a wing, it could be part of it, it could be partitioned off later. But I wouldn't confuse the grant at this point with adding offices to it. I think that
Yeah, I think
what you have to do is not bifurcate the new building, the new addition and the renovation for just now. Those have to go in as one solid block of money. You're looking for the grant for. John's bifurcation of it, so the money going in is gonna throw it out.
well, that may
You're not
be,
gonna, let me finish, please. You're not gonna get full support. I know it's your ball, but don't take your ball out of the ballpark yet. Consolidate it with what the town wants. And we don't know exactly what the town wants, do we? But we got a rough idea that they want to preserve Butler.
right,
And that is the first goal.
right. And what I was going to say is, we know basically what a new building was going to cost, and we know if we took 24 or 33,000 square feet, and, you know, we could do some rough estimates, and we wouldn't be that far off. We don't know what a renovation is going to really cost. We haven't done that. And that is the kind of people I think we need on this facilities committee to do that work.
Yeah.
And we need people who believe in, you know, helping with the idea of a renovation on this committee. I would not be able to do that. That's why I'm getting off.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do that. So I think that's very important in order to get a budget and an estimate and all the things that we did with Gabe in the facilities committee. And then with Xander just at the end, but all of that stuff took us a lot of time and really careful attention to what it was we thought a building should have in it. And we used a lot of public information, and we went to many libraries and we looked online and we discussed it forever. Until
2.5 years, roughly.
pardon me?
Okay.
Roughly 2.5 years, right? Well, I know, I've been working on it for 4 years, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear everything you said.
Oh, I say you've been working for it for 2
Yeah.
years in the design of the building. And it's unfortunate that much time got wasted and all the effort.
Well, I don't think it was.
It's not necessarily wasted.
Yeah.
You came up with a design that's very similar to what's on the first floor. Now, we haven't seen the building yet, but you've got the same square
It's
footage.
enough. All right, thank you. Want to say, anybody else want to say anything? John?
Well, you know, for purposes of going back to the congressional delegations, the numbers that I heard were like a $3 million budget, which would be 750,000 raised by the community, which I think is a doable number. If everybody comes together. Which I think is hopeful, but anyway, so. The documents that were early reviewed by the facilities group and the futures community group basically showed that renovation and new building cost the same. If you really look at it, that was the conclusion. There was minor differences, and that I think is still true. We are going to put into Guilford Butler this as a renovated building, the same mechanical systems, the same LED lights, the same heat pumps, the same ventilators as we would put in a new building. There is a bit of different. Construction costs money, and it's actually, there's a tremendous amount of savings in working with the existing shell versus tearing it down. And that can translate to, that can cover any unexpected. You know, yes. So really what is needed is a professional assessment of how to go forward.
Right.
whether it's new or old, and I do not feel that there were biddable construction drawings done for the new building. There were no wall sections.
No, we didn't get that
nothing.
far. No.
So there really is essentially, there's just an estimate, there's a budget of $3 million, let's call it that. Whether it's 2.5 or 3. Throwing in the town offices is a big curveball, but maybe it can be a future curveball. So I don't think it's actually outside the possibility of going in the next 2 months back to the congressional delegations and saying the budget is 3 million or 2.5 million, whatever number we think they will. And essentially it is taxpayer dollars that we're begging for. Let's all admit that. We want our share. And we're grateful to those who can help us. The budget is no different. There are no plans for a new building. There are no specifics for renovation. That with the right architectural team, that could be pounded out in a short amount of time. Everybody's busy, obviously, but if there's a will, and we also have, among us is Kevin Bunker, who's volunteered to be a member of the facilities. I saw facilities as the design team that was going to come forward, group. He's volunteers his amazing expertise, his many contacts. He can put this together, but he's not going to participate unless everybody gets on board to the greatest extent possible. I mean, many people have given their time for a long, long time, and I would put Penny at the top of that list. I don't think there's any programmatic changes on the first floor of Guilford Butler. Nothing. The design is done. We need wall sections, we need mechanical systems. And we need a financial commitment from the congressional delegation that, so, I don't know, that's enough, I guess, on my plate, but I did have a serious problem with the draft mission statement that ended by saying that the CDS monies are only to be used for the new construction, the meeting room. I thought that was very inconsistent with the will of that was expressed at the town meeting. That's enough.
John?
I'm just saying one thing, is I got, but I think there's a huge role for the facilities committee, sorry, Kate. But I think it's critical that we repurpose the committee, so at least a majority of the committee is committed to renovating the existing building and not, and kind of, I mean, because I think the existing building is here to stay, that's the one thing that's clear in the article to me. And I think the other thing is it's absolutely critical that Penny be a member of that committee, or there's no sense in going anywhere. That's my opinion. And I can leave.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I just want to say, I don't think this is going to be decided today, but I do think, I think the message to the public is, are you willing to be on a facilities committee? And are you willing to work towards a hybrid system of renovation and a new community room? And if you feel like you can do the work, put your name into the select board and see how we can fill out this committee with people with different skills and expertise and histories of it, you know, why you would want to do that. It is going to be a lot of work. There's just no doubt in my mind, yeah.
Okay, so I listened to John and I agreed almost with everything except for the layout of Guilford Butler is already set. The whole point of building a new community room is that it becomes the community room. So the current room used as community room can be used for something else. So I would like you, if you come onto that facilities committee, to be open to other possibilities.
Absolutely, if I'm allowed on the board, I wasn't.
I was talking to John.
Oh, but I would agree with the exact same thing.
You know, and that's the whole key. It's like if we want to get together, the word compromise is going to be key. And one of the primary conditions for that is you need to keep an open mind to what people offer. And you have to be able to evaluate whether, yes, it will serve everybody's purpose and not just a select group.
Catherine, I don't see a select group using Guilford Butler now. I see a community-wide participation, old, young.
But you
And-
see, this is a statistical error.
All right, let's not have a, let's
Let's
not have a two-way, just a one-way conversation.
Feasibility is the key.
Speak up, everybody. So what are you saying?
Okay, I'm saying that in the end, what we can build will be what we have money for. And it is very critical not to redo things that are well done, operational now. The windows, Catherine, we cannot afford it. I've been through it. There's no sense tearing the whole thing out.
But I didn't say we had to tear the whole thing out.
Well, I'm saying we can't and we won't because it disrespects the program that's there. So I don't know, you and I'd be happy to talk to anybody individually, so that we iron these things out.
Well, again, I don't think we're gonna resolve
I
this
know,
tonight.
but it's interesting
This is
to
the
get
kind of-
everything out.
I'll make one comment. I think it's just that, you know, the budget that was derived for the new building was derived very quickly and at a very high level based on facilities with, you know, very high levels of energy performance and comparably sized spaces that had been built recently in Maine. So that was essentially like, I personally worked on a project of about 8,000 square feet that was built, finished in 2023. That is very similar profile to this project, and that was the comparable I used to derive the budget. I think it shouldn't be impossible to, I agree with what John said about specifying the wall sections, things like that. I think that's fast. And I think it's probably possible to arrive at a high level budget number for renovation very quickly. Based on that information. I think the other thing is that I do tend to agree with Catherine a little bit that like early in the process of a new facilities committee, everything should be on the table. And then agreements are reached by discussion. And John, obviously, he has a lot of information that he can share that can help convince us about what's feasible and what isn't. And everybody should listen to that very carefully and take it into account. And then I think that's how the decision-making process has to be. It has to be as open as possible. In my opinion, and especially early in the phase, so people can sort of really just hash it out and get to everything.
My sense, if these 4 people over here stay, is that we need another 4 people. I believe that. I would make that recommendation to the select board that we meet, or maybe 5 people, so we're an odd number, but.
Just FYI, you, back in 2023, this board can have up to 9.
Right.
If you want to go more, the select board would have to
Yes.
change it. But
Because-
we do have. up
And
to
originally, there was supposed to be a fundraising group and a building group, and I think that is still a very wise idea at some point, those that need to start a capital campaign, because we still do have to raise a lot of money in this town, regardless of how much congressional money and other grants we get. Those are the big grants, the congressional ones, so, you know, at some point, the committee could separate into 2 or get other people to help them, but we do need a fundraising group that is working on a capital campaign, which is large donors and then events at the end of that campaign. And we need a building committee that is studying these things and pulling together a budget. So, John, I don't know if you're interested in being on a part of the group for a period of time to work on.
I would like to see the center succeed. I'm hearing tremendous amount of dissonance, as to how to get there. I think most people that I've heard speak have not actually gone through a building process. And for example, if we're gonna get early drawings, somebody has to pay for those drawings. And my wife and I have gestured that we would be willing to put money up, but I don't even know, would I give it to the auxiliary committee to get a donation? And then would the auxiliary committee pay the bill that the facility committee incurs?
Well,
This is tricky.
so that's what happened with Alexander Shaw, the architect that did the beginning of the elevations that we had on the building. That was just the first part of a design project. As he said, you're sort of on the runway, but you've got a long way till takeoff. So that was, he's way back here on the runway in terms of those drawings. He's a very good architect. He has a great resume. And he's,
I can interview multiple architects that are to understand their capacities for delivery and their costs.
yeah, so I can't
Sandy?
remember what,
I need to go, so
okay,
I'll follow up.
okay, thank you, Kate.
Thank-
So to answer the question about cost, when we knew how much the design process that Xander wanted to take us through, it was $9,000. We asked if we could do the first half of it first. And we raised the money, $4,000 to pay him for the beginning of those first elevation drawings, which he did. I thought he did a great job and gave options. And so, I know it's quite a lot of money to go through the whole design process. So this was just the baby step.
Normally, you go to what's called pre-construction pricing
well, that would-
with
Right.
a set of drawings that an architect would a series of necessary improvements, life safety things. You don't go to the fire marshal and ask him, you've got a 5-year permission right now, it's till 2026. And you don't go to the fire marshal now, you go to the fire marshal with an architect who says, this is the renovation we're planning, these are the improvements that we're going to make. Will you extend if we need an extension? And then generally speaking, they'll say yes. And we're glad that you're going to improve the building in this way. We have a sprinklers building, which is frankly a complication. It is, I don't know, even if it has to be sprinklered, if you add on, you're gonna have to add on to the sprinkler system. There's all kinds of engineering feedback that we need in order to understand new, old renovation. It's complicated and frankly, it's not a committee type job. You need 4 or people that have experience and have contacts, and you need people to monitor them, to give feedback as the process goes along. But design by committee is difficult.
No kidding.
We all agree.
Understating.
Well, this is a town committee, so we have to do it
Right.
relatively by committee. Yeah, Maura.
Just one point for John, the 5 years, the town, commitment to the library to be at Guilford Butler. The from all the conversations with the fire marshal, he gave a temporary residence. And so at the select board meeting, that's what Jeff said, he was gonna go back, so it could be changed to permanent. It was, the 5 years what the selectmen gave to Penny and the library community center. So that was just.
Temporary still continuing.
Right, but just to clear that up, it was, but, so now, and that's what the select board voted on Thursday night for Jeff, and Jeff's going to do that, just one to let
That
you
is a
know.
total mistake.
Then you need to let them know.
I have a.
Okay,
Okay, I think, are there any other public comments that people want to make? I think this is material that has to be covered in the new facilities committee with a new group of people that are willing to work on this. And if there's any further feedback you'd like me to give to the select board, I'd be really happy to do that. Clarifying the mission seems to be a very important piece of it. Yeah,
I just have one question, it's housekeeping. Will I send you the minutes?
you can send me the minutes this time.
For this one,
I'll
okay,
put-
I just
I'll
want to
do
know.
this. This is my last meeting.
Okay, I just need to
Yeah,
check,
but I'll do that.
thank you.
And I will happily put all my notebooks and files and everything together for whoever is the next chair or co-chair. And I think co-chair is a good idea. It's helpful. All right, no correspondence. I don't think we're scheduling a next meeting because we don't know what's gonna happen next. But I would say pay attention and somebody will get to you. Probably in August or September. I don't know,
Maybe earlier.
Yeah.
maybe earlier. I don't know.
I have another housekeeping issue. I sent you an email along with the rest of the board on, because August, their term, people that are, their
Yeah.
term is up.
Yes,
And the nominating and so is the nominating committee from the facilities committee need to reconvene or not, because you're one of those members, so I just wanna get that
yeah,
out.
all right,
So that's just something for housekeeping.
yeah, I know the terms of the various people.
Because I wrote it all down in the evening.
Okay,
But there
I
was
saw
one,
it, I
there
saw
was
it.
one person I did not know, and the one you voted in yesterday, you didn't mention any term.
Yeah. I'm 3 years, Ron is
Yep.
2 years.
It's all there, but
Okay,
but I need that information.
right, okay. All right,
We got it.
without any further ado, I make a motion we adjourn or without,
Further objections. Okay, 6:01.
Thank you, you both.
Thank you.
More to do.
All right. So.
Raise your hand out there, get involved.
yes, I know.